When was the first time you've soloed Fallen? Was it level 100? Was it level 50? Maybe even as low as level 30? But whatever it was, I can almost guarantee you that it was not level 1. And as crazy as that may seem, today I will go solo Fallen completely without any help and without admin commands. Still hard to believe? Well, hop into full screen and let me show you how it's all done. Here it is, my level 0 account, and I will get to why it says level 1 account in a moment. You can see my loadout is just Scout and Sniper. Clearly, it's impossible to solo Fallen with a loadout like this, at least without the use of admin commands. That is until I open my inventory. Yeah, this costed me a few Robux, but how else are you supposed to get a level 1 account to beat Fallen? I equipped all of these towers, and now it may probably seem pretty obvious how I'm able to solo Fallen, but not quite so fast. This loadout does not come with any support towers, and there is another problem that I've yet to face. Fallen is kind of locked unless you're level 10. So I had to innovate. I got my main account into the game, and then we both went into the elevator. This was of course so I could vote Fallen on my main account and then leave the game. But wait a second, because we technically entered this elevator in a duo and I have to solo, from now on I'll be making less money and my tower limit is just 30. But nonetheless, it's about time for me to begin the run. Actually wait, this run didn't exactly go so well, I lost, and then my account became level 1, which is why the title says level 1 even though this account was technically level 0. But alright, now we begin. This run starts off just as usual, placing a farm. What isn't usual though is that my base health is only 100. This is something you never see unless you're playing Polluted Wastelands or Hardcore, because soloing Fallen as a level 1 is just something that nobody ever has a reason to try. This means I can't exactly farm for long before I need to get my Gladiator. And the problem is this Gladiator is not even strong enough, so the very next wave I have to get yet another Gladiator. But with these two Gladiators it is safe for me to continue farming. I'm able to get up a couple of farms and I'm able to also destroy the speedies with relative ease. Wave 7 came out and now I had some heavies. Now I did mess up my farming a little bit. Normally I would have went for 4 Gladiators, but because I wanted better farming I only went for 3. This caused me to leak a few heavies, but they were barely going to take away any HP anyways, so I continued farming. After that, there were even more heavies that leaked, which I'll admit isn't exactly great, but then I could upgrade 2 more farms. On wave 9, I was going to get an engineer in preparation for wave 10, since I wasn't going to be upgrading gladiators to take down the boss, and after getting 2 engineers and setting them on strongest, that was going to be our defense for the boss. The boss got pretty far, but after killing it, it was back to my favorite task, farming. On wave 12, I realized that next wave we had shadows, so I tried upgrading a gladiator. I wanted to get it up to level 4, but I didn't have enough money, so I decided to upgrade the other 2 gladiators and hope that they would have enough damage to take out all the shadows. Thankfully that worked out for me, and the next wave I had 2 bosses. This was clearly going to be a problem, but thanks to an upgraded engineer and upgraded gladiators, those 2 bosses were taken down quite easily. Wave 15 was just a bunch of shadows, meaning more farming time for me. 16 is a bunch of mysteries. All I had to hope now was for not a bunch of bad RNG, and thankfully I didn't get a bunch of bad RNG. Wave 17 was more mysteries yet again, but no bad RNG either. Why can't TDS just always be like this? Come on. Wave 18 was not as friendly. There were way more bosses this time, and I was really doubting my chances to survive. I upgraded the other engineer, and somehow that was strong enough to take out all of the bosses that we got. Wave 19 was a pretty easy necromancer, which allowed me to get some good farming, and then it was wave 20. These were the Fallens that killed me last time, and this time I was going to be prepared. The Fallens didn't really stand a chance. Wave 21 was a little bit more Fallens, but those 4 engineers, let alone some of them being upgraded, had built up all of their sentries, meaning they had enough damage to take them all out. Well, except for one. It leaked and I took some damage. Wave 22 was the boss, so I instinctively upgraded a farm, and that's because the boss was pretty easy. Wave 23 was another boss, but I had maxed out a gladiator, meaning that the boss stood even less of a chance than it already didn't. Wave 24 though was scary. It was the shadow boss, and I had to use 2 max gladiators abilities. And the thing is, the engineers suck so much they actually let the shadow boss survive with some HP. I wasn't happy about that, so I upgraded a farm. Wave 26 were a bunch of glitches which got really far, and I actually got scared and had to place a gladiator further back and use its ability. Knowing that there was going to be more of that, I immediately upgraded and engineered to minigun sentries. Minigun sentries are honestly pretty busted, so they were able to take down those glitches pretty easily. On wave 28, I had maxed all of my farms, which is arguably late, but with a loadout like this, it does kind of make sense. 2 giant bosses were no problem whatsoever. The next scary wave was going to be wave 30, the tank. Although I was ready. I got a max level engineer, and if this wasn't going to be enough, then I don't know what is. But before I even went up against the tank, there were 2 shadow bosses that scared the crap out of me. Thankfully, a max level engineer actually has reasonable damage to hiddens, so I was barely able to survive that boss. That was of course after placing a gladiator at the back and using its ability. Wave 31 was easy, but I did stock up on some max level gladiators to prevent shadow bosses like that from leaking. We had another tank that almost got all the way through, but the more concerning thing was that if shadow bosses spawned from mystery bosses past all of the gladiators, then the shadow bosses would be able to run by pretty far. So I knew I was going to have to get my engineers upgraded because they were the only ranged tower that were actually going to protect me from that, despite them being weak against hiddens. So yeah, it was just upgrading engineers now. Because the engineers still, after all, are very strong, I was able to breeze past every wave. After maxing every single engineer out, it was just time to spam a bunch of gladiators. I was going to want to do as much damage as possible to the fallen guardians and the fallen king, because I knew that engineers by themselves wouldn't actually have enough damage to take him out. I hit my placement limit of 30 towers quite early because it's a duo, and then, after selling my farms and placing the last of my gladiators, it was time for wave 40. This is, without a doubt, the first time a level 1 player has seen wave 40 in solo fallen without admin commands. There was no commanders to chain, so the only thing left to do was just to spam the abilities on gladiators. Unfortunately, while trying to do that, the hitboxes of the guardians got in the way, and I was literally unable to click some of the gladiators. This hindered my damage a lot, but I was still able to take down all the guardians. I had to sell all my gladiators and get them farther back as quick as possible. I was going to need all the damage I could get. I started placing them further back, but the fallen king was already starting to get out of range of my engineers, so I quickly started having to move them. In the process of doing so, I accidentally placed a scout. But the even more concerning issue is that I eventually ran out of money. I was hoping that this damage would be enough to take down the fallen king, but wait, I don't really need to take down the fallen king. If I do, my account will no longer be level 1. In fact, it'll probably be level 3 or 4 or something around there. So at this point, I didn't really care about the win. It's definitely possible to win if you have some better map where the engineers can see more. But honestly, I didn't even really care. And right before the Fallen King was about to kill me, I left the game, just because I didn't want to gain any more XP. But there you have it. A level 1 just went through the entirety of Fallen mode completely solo. It is possible. And in fact, you should like the video because I had a mental breakdown after that one death. Like, subscribe, use StarCode to make up for the Robux I spent on this loadout. Goodbye.